Welcome to Heal With Us, where we aim to inspire, strengthen, and empower. Now,
Now let's begin to heal.
Hey, y'all, I'm Toya, and I'll be investigating the business of everyday people like you and I.
Blessings. It's Dr. Nikkisha Bell-Griffin, and I'll be checking in on your heart.
Hello, I'm Tam from the Nurse Corner, and I'll be giving you fun facts that you didn't know you needed because I'm just nerdy like that.
Now that you met us, let's get in your business.
In your business.
Alrighty, guys. So I wanted to reflect on our year that we've had so far with the podcast. So I just want to go through some of my favorite episodes, not necessarily all of my favorites, but just some of the ones that stuck out the most. So the first one would be the pilot, because that one is our baby. I think we were excited about like how we were gonna format it, and stuff just came together like just magically, no effort. It felt like, and we would somebody would think of one thing and then be like, oh, well, what about this? So I feel like everything just kind of came together, divine. But it just started from a conversation. I think you were already doing a podcast, and then you said something about, what did you say? You had another idea. Was it podcast also?
Yes. I pretty much wanted to do something panel-like.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
See, that was where the panel came in.
Yes.
And I was like, well, if we're going to be recording it, we may as well have a video too. So I think that one, the first episode, was like my favorite because we weren't thinking about anything but getting together and healing people. So what about y'all? That episode?
For the pilot? Yeah, I think it was, I don't know, I mean, just seems so long ago now, but
It was only like not that many months ago.
I know, it really wasn't. But I think, I don't know, I think like you said, I love the genuineness of it, how it just kind of meshed together, because like you were saying, I actually had thought about doing something similar. I didn't know what format it was going to be. I don't know if it was going to be a podcast or what, but I just know I wanted a panel of ladies and us just having these authentic conversations. And so it was on my heart for like, probably at least 2 years. So for it to actually just come together the way it came together, I knew it was time. And it was the perfect combination.
It was.
So, yeah.
Well, for me, the pilot episode, I liked it for the fact that we got to introduce ourselves to our audience and our little impromptu karaoke section. Do you guys remember what it was? My mic sounds nice. So we had a little impromptu karaoke session there. So, but yeah, like you said, that was our baby. So.
Yeah. And then my other episodes were all the ones where I got to interview people other than us, even though it's fun. I like interviewing us. But like the first one was personal finance with Miss Shari Swain. She was so nervous, but she did so good. So and she didn't know it, but she was like breaking us in with our first interview. So and then Nursing the Community with Allegra. She was a character, but everything that she embodied like shows in the passion that she has for the community, and how she's building up, helping people with nursing, and and then staying afloat, was kind of bittersweet because of we did have a tragedy during that week, but Miss Leslie was teaching water safety, and her whole mission is to make sure that minorities, and then just kids that don't have access to pools and water, learn water safety and how to swim. And then the next one was Girl Talk, where we got like all the girls was there. Where my girls at? Yeah. So we were getting a lot of personalities, and then from all aspects, all different points of life. Like some people were retired, some people were just starting out careers, some people were like towards the end of their career and thinking about switching. So I think we got a lot of good information for people maybe that are struggling with, well, this is not what I picked in life. And it kind of shows them like, you'll end up where you're supposed to be anyway. So, and then Hooked on Henna with Miss April. I love that it was just something that she was always passionate about, but she didn't know that it was going to come out in henna. So, yeah, and her girlfriends were like, so you just going to know how to do this on the first sit down on the beach. Yeah.
You're just chilling, and there you go.
Yes. So those are my favorites. And then my favorite outtake was Keisha's makeup.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore, do we?
Do that still.
Oh, we
I
still
just
do.
did that this morning.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we're still working on it.
I'm still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
And then I got to go in the streets like over a couple of times. We were up in Maryland at his family reunion, and I ran into Miss Naima Dawn. She's an up and coming singer that does like jazz music. So I did a little interview with her, and I will pop that up here also for y'all to take a look. And then our cute little guy that we ran into when we went to see Les Miserables, he is Professor Jim Corprew. He teaches at Norfolk State University. And he was so cute. He sat by himself. He was on the end seat next to us. And I was just like, so can I interview you? Yeah, but he was like, okay. So I appreciate all my interviews and my people that let me just get in their business. They were just willing. We had some hesitations, like some uh-ohs and stuff, but it's been fun, and I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to like what we have to come also.
Thanks for the reflection.
Thank you. Yeah, good stuff. So for me, I think just reflecting, I want to kind of take it two different places. One with us, just to continue with Toya left off. I think for me, the truest blessing of doing this podcast with you ladies is just like the genuine, and I said it before, but I'll say it again because it's not something you can imitate. You really can't like force authentic relationship. Yeah. You cannot force just the love, and respect, and the joy that we have from being around each other. And I've just learned to really appreciate that because I didn't realize we were doing our own thing before this, living our life, taking care of families, careers, whatever. And then just be able to make time for each other as sisters again. So we're pouring out to you guys, but we are really reconnecting as sisters and just loving it because it's taking me back to, us growing up together. But I have a newfound appreciation because we're not little girls anymore. Yeah. We're grown women. And I still see some of the same characteristics of my little sisters, but I see the women you have grown into, and I'm just like so honored to be in y'all presence because y'all are amazing women. Y'all are doing amazing things, and I'm just it's a privilege to be sitting here with y'all. So yeah, so I'm I cannot fix it. So yeah, I mean, then like the little outtakes we have, I mean, they are genuinely like just bloopers that we have, and but it's coming out of just that natural flow of just us being together. So I'm excited for doing, more so. I think that's what makes this podcast for me not feel like, I mean, I'm there. Now, don't get me wrong. Some days I'm like, I do not feel like doing this. Yeah. But once I'm here and we're just talking, it just something wakens up. So it's like, I'm looking forward to seeing what this evolves into, So, yeah.
And I think you just left out it's not all peaches and cream. We used to have storm offs and I'm not talking to you anymore. But at the end of the day, it only lasted maybe a few minutes, and then it was, we always try to resolve whatever it was that was going on immediately. I think even when we were smaller. Like, yeah.
I wasn't involved in those. I'm just saying.
So you weren't involved in the storms off?
That probably means she was
what? She was. Because that happened on a regular basis. Yes, it must have been.
Yeah, like I don't really remember that.
Yes, but it is truly like honestly, y'all, like a lot of family and close friends cannot say that I've grown up with such and such. And we are still connected, and we've made mistakes. We've done things we're not proud of, but we've also had good enough times where we can sincerely just let the past be the past as far as that stuff goes. and just genuinely and authentically love on each other and just continue to grow together. So, everybody doesn't have that. Some
Yeah.
people have been disconnected from, people that they've known for years or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're an adult and, you're just lost contact, or you had like a rift and then you just didn't take the time to, or maybe you did try to and it just didn't work out, for whatever reason. So it's definitely a blessing. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
It
I'm
is.
grateful. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks, Doc.
Yes, of course. And I guess on the other note, I wanted to say, I know that New Year's is coming up. We're going through the holidays and New Year's. And so I'm reflecting, and part of it is my oldest daughter's fault. So she's about to become an adult.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it either, but I have to. So she just had a meltdown yesterday, y'all.
Mhm.
She her little sister pushed her out of her room and into the living room with me and her dad was, and she's just like boo-hooing, and we're like, what is happening right now? She's like, this is my last Christmas as a kid. I mean, and I was like, oh, we have our boys are grown, but boys are boys. They might do that behind our back, but they're not gonna come crying in front of us saying, this is my last
Well,
Christmas
technically
as a kid.
she didn't. Her sister kind of pushed her out onto the
Exactly. So, it just made me start reflecting on a lot of things like, wow, life changes, things change, and what is really important. So this year, I just feel like us coming into the new year, setting these new year resolutions and all this stuff, to me, I'm done with that. What I really want to do is just start being hyper focused on making the most of every moment, because you can't get stuff back. She won't be a kid anymore, but I did tell her, I said, yeah, you won't be a kid anymore next year, but technically you'll always be our baby. I was like, so really, I mean, it'll be different somewhat, but really it's not, because no matter what, we'll still spend Christmas together, and we'll make that a priority. And I told her, I said, that's the thing, life is going to change. You're going to get new friends. You may start dating and, hopefully get married and have your own family. But we have to prioritize putting each other first. I said, so tell your husband now. Tell your husband.
And there's a lot of us.
Tell your husband. This family gets you on Christmas. His family can have you on Thanksgiving. But that's going to be the rule, okay? So this is on camera now. Okay. But yeah, so I just say all that to say, as you start to reflect on where you are now, where you want to be, don't be so hard on yourself. Bad habit, y'all. But just really just take a time to step back and carve out, what you want. Well, write down, identify what you want to prioritize, and then make it a priority. Carve out that time to make it happen, because, we can't get time back. So yeah. So that's all I wanted to say.
That's good, Doc.
Yes. Thank you. What about you?
So, of course, I'm sorry, you finished with
I'm done.
Okay.
You go right ahead.
Well, of course, I'm the oddball always. My little segment, I didn't take that approach.
That's what makes us unique.
I'm literally going to do what the word says, is talk about reflection.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Do that.
Okay. All right. So I brought this up in a previous episode. I just touched on it. I really didn't really expound on it in that particular episode. But I briefly mentioned to you, the two of you, and asked, are you too familiar with the rogue test? Rogue test. No.
Mm-hmm. No.
Or the self-recognition test?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Well, what it is that, so it's like a classic psychological experiment that was done in the 1970s, where researchers gathered a group of children from the age of 6 to 24 months. 6 months to 24 months, I'm sorry. And they placed a spot of lipstick on their nose. Okay. And then they placed the children in front of a mirror to see how they would respond to themselves or with them with that dot on their nose. Okay. So for the young infants from 6 months to 12 months, they thought the baby in the mirror was another baby. Mm-hmm. And they would smile and approach the baby in a friendly way. Mm-hmm. Now, the older babies, 13 to 24 months, they were a little hesitant. it was unknown if the children knew that the reflection was of themselves or whether they still thought it was another child.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the toddlers, the 20 to 24 months, they clearly recognized the reflection as it being their own.
Mm-hmm.
And what indicated this was that while looking in the mirror, the child would touch the dot of lipstick on their nose and like, what's this? And then they would touch the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So, but of course, the results of this mirror test it's not clear cut. You know, it was
Right.
just a little experiment just to see. But because the toddlers recognize themselves in the mirror does not necessarily mean that they have a complete mental concept of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I highlighted that in my notes because that kind of correlates to us being an adults.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read that again. It says, just because you recognize yourself in the mirror does not necessarily mean that we have a complete mental concept of ourselves. That just, I had to stop typing and reading because I'm like, oh, okay, so we really gonna do a couch session right now? Okay.
That's what's gonna happen.
So visual recognition may not be completely correlated with mental self-perception. So it's my belief that our self-conception is developing for most of our lives, right? And like how you sense yourself changing during adolescence or becoming a parent. I also believe that full self-concept continues to change throughout life.
Mm-hmm.
So just with that subject of, reflection, it's, I just pictured myself looking at that mirror in the mirror and I don't know if you've ever constantly just beyond the physical changes that you see. Maybe your hair is graying or you see a little crow's feet or a couple of wrinkles here or some sunspots there. But really take time to look at your eyes and kind of stare into your soul when you're looking in that mirror. And like I said, that one sentence just reverberated with me. It's the fact that, we're constantly evolving. And so is our reflection. And when you're looking at your reflection in the mirror, go deeper than what you see physically. And ask yourself, like, beyond the physical that I see in this mirror, what else is changing? What is evolving? So the two of you, are there certain aspects in your life where you feel as though you have to sometimes stop and reflect on it? Like whether it be the aging process or just like you spoke of your oldest daughter, her entering, that certain, and it's not just her, it's you. You're also entering a phase where you have to reflect on all the years of her being a little girl. And now you have to reflect on the fact that she's becoming an adult and maybe one day becoming a mommy, so can the two of you speak to that as far as like just the beyond the physical reflection?
I don't know if this is the same thing, but me and cameraman were talking about this the other day, like how old your soul feels. Like from the time I was little to now, it feels the same. Like it always has felt, like this inside. I never really thought I was a baby or I was a toddler or I was a teen.
Really?
I just always felt the same, like internal age. Like I don't feel any older now, but I didn't feel any younger then. Yeah. So that from that perspective, like, now the body is like you gonna stand up for how much longer, or oh yeah, we're not gonna bend over like that anymore. Yeah. But yeah.
That's interesting.
It is. I think for me, I just automatically thought of identity, period. And I just think about how your identity is formed. And, for most of us, well, I won't say for most of us, but, some of us are affirmed from early on, and some of us do not receive any affirmation or validation. And so when you look at yourself, it's kind of through a filter of that, whatever that was. If that experience was affirmation and validation, then you're looking at yourself with a positive light. But if it was either none or negative, then it's like you are constantly struggling as an adult to recreate and tap into who you really are.
Mhm.
Because, and even if you got positive affirmations, I've heard people say that they were always validated or affirmed by their parents and family. But then as they got older and the world started giving messages, it was kind of like they had to ask themselves, are they going to keep believing what their family said for themselves? Or are they going to believe what others are saying? So you, either way, you still have to make a choice. But I think it's harder for people who haven't had any kind of like validation or affirmation of who they are and what they who they the worth they bring just for being them, or negative, especially because then you have to reroute and just interrupt all those negative thought patterns. So for me, when I look in a mirror, whether literally or just internally examining myself, it's for me a lot of times I'm looking past the physical. Like, I mean, there are moments where I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, can you give me 20/20 vision, please? I have moments where I'm looking at flaws or, the age thing, like you said, but most of the time it really is internal. Like, oh my gosh, I'm 50 now. Why am I still dealing with this? Why do I still feel this way? So I'm constantly trying to align my beliefs to who God says I am so that my image is reflective of, a godly image, a positive image, and it's realistic. It's not just, oh, positivity, like, no, it's really based on truth. So that's hard, because you have to walk that out every day.
Yeah.
It can't be, and some days you just feel like crap. I mean, really, you do. So it's like, on those days I feel like crap, what am I going to do? Am I going to just continue to keep feeding that loop, or have a moment and then get myself together, So yeah, so that's, I think, just trying to rebirth yourself, if that makes sense. Like, just and New Year's is all about that. Just, what do you want to say? Like reinventing and all these type of things. But really, I just want to become more of who I already am inside, the goodness, So yes, I think that's what I think of when I think about reflection.
Well, when I'm looking in the mirror, I too, it's beyond physical for me, because actually when I look in the mirror, it's like I still see that little girl. I don't feel like, besides a couple little pounds and sprigs of gray, I don't see anything different. And I went for my annual visit earlier this week, and I've been seeing my lady doctor since I was late 20s. And she's rushing. She swings through the door and she's like, oh my God, you don't age. You still look the same. And I'm like, oh, man. And as I got in the car, I'm walking back to my car, I thought about what she said, and I'm like, thank God I don't look like what I've been.
Right. Yeah.
And reflection for me, and I find myself kind of hanging on to this a lot lately, is me reflecting on where I've been and all the things that I've been through to get to where I am now. And I sit in my blessings today and just kind of awe as to all that I went through and how God was always there. And I know half of the stuff was nothing but him to get me through there, and that all the hard work paid off. And just knowing that I've always had that instilled in me, that, you're not doing this alone.
Right.
This meaning it could be a lot of things to different people, life, your hard work, goals, dreams, so that's what I've been kind of reflecting on lately, is where I am now, sitting in the blessings that I have now, what I went through to get there. So that's kind of,
and it makes you appreciate it even
oh
more.
yes, oh yes. And I don't know if it takes away the level of intensity of my appreciation, but it does. It really makes you, especially when you come from meek and humble beginnings, to know or to think that you would never probably ever reach the level that you're at when you're reflecting, that it's like, oh my God, oh my gosh. Because, there was dark times and hard times and a lot of cries and tears and praying and, raw knees, because you're on your knees praying. And it's like, to know and to sit back and, not even to have that mind space to sit and reflect. Because some people say, okay, thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for the blessing. And they just keep on moving, but don't really sit in it. So that's what I kind of think of when I'm sitting and reflecting. So, but that's all I had for the Nurse Corner. I just wanted to share the road test with you guys.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Heal With Us.
And remember, healing is a process, so take it one day at a time.
Reach out to us. You can email us at healwithus3@gmail.com. We're available across all social media platforms. All of them. We're there. Just check for us. Heal With Us 3.
Heal with us.
Heal with